excited. I think, obviously our goal of reaching the playoffs last year we accomplished, but now, we want to be a championship contender. I think we're putting in the pieces to be able to do that. Hopefully add some free agents, and you can just feel the excitement in the whole organization and in the city, our fans. So honestly, I can't wait to get back out there. I wish we had a game tomorrow, honestly. Yeah.
Remember when the Indiana Fever were struggling, winning just 5 games 2 seasons ago? Fast forward to today, and everything has changed in just a couple of years. Caitlin Clark, their generational talent, made it clear she needed star power around her. The Fever's new front office wasted no time, answering her request with a move that sent shockwaves through the league. They didn't just upgrade the roster, they made a statement. Indiana isn't here to rebuild. They're here to dominate.
Quick thoughts on the $80 million Fever facility and Stephanie White being like, we're going to be aggressive in free agency, and massive names who are available. And I think, this is my bold prediction, the Indiana Fever are going to be playing for the WNBA title next year. Wow. They have their cornerstone pieces under rookie contract.
In a move that turned the WNBA upside down, Indiana pulled off something extraordinary. They didn't sign just 1 or 2 stars, they brought in 3 game-changing players. This isn't just a minor improvement, it's a full-scale basketball revolution. The Fever have gone from hopeful contenders to instant championship favorites. But who are these stars, and how do they fit into Indiana's master plan? This isn't just about adding talent, it's about reshaping the entire team's identity. The rest of the league is on high alert because the Fever aren't just aiming for the playoffs, they're coming for a title. Are you ready to see history unfold?
I felt this way to begin with, that the Fever were going to be a destination because you have Caitlin Clark, you have Aaliyah Boston, and you have a really, really young team. And I think now with Steph White, who is hands down one of the best coaches in the league, and we saw that with Connecticut, even though they fell a little bit short, I think that, this is going to be big.
Let's take a trip back to when the Indiana Fever were at rock bottom. Just 2 seasons ago, they were the WNBA's laughingstock, managing only 5 wins. It felt like they were trapped in a never-ending cycle of losses. But then, something shifted. The Fever's front office started making bold moves that turned heads across the league. They weren't content with mediocrity anymore. They had a vision, a plan, and the determination to execute it. And as we'll see, those moves changed everything, turning a struggling franchise into a rising powerhouse.
You're in a position where you can add some pieces.
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
It all started with Aaliyah Boston. Indiana selected her first overall in the 2023 draft, a dominant center with superstar potential. Despite her presence, the Fever still finished with a 13-27 record. But then, the 2024 draft changed everything. With the first overall pick, they landed Caitlin Clark, a once-in-a-lifetime talent who had already taken women's basketball by storm. Her impact was immediate, averaging 19.2 points per game in her rookie season while breaking 62 records. Clark wasn't just a scorer, she was a playmaker, a leader. But even with her generational talent, she couldn't carry the team alone. She needed reinforcements.
I see a lot of players wanting to go, in this offseason, a lot of players are going to want to go to the Fever.
That's where the Fever's young core stepped up. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull started to build chemistry. Suddenly, Indiana wasn't a pushover anymore. Opponents could no longer walk into their arena expecting an easy win. These young stars were hungry and determined. The result? A breakthrough season, finishing with a 20-20 record and securing a playoff spot for the first time in nearly a decade. But for Caitlin Clark, that wasn't enough. She didn't just want to make the playoffs, she wanted to win it all. And she knew the Fever had the potential to be great, not just good.
Quality depth is going to be important. When you have a core 3 like we have, surrounding them with players who are going to, fill the roles, certainly, first and foremost, who are going to embrace the roles, secondly, and who give us the best opportunities for success by complementing.
So, what did Clark do? She took matters into her own hands. She went straight to the front office and demanded elite free agents. And guess what? The new management team, led by President Kelly Krauskopf and GM Amber Cox, didn't just listen. They delivered. Indiana had 4 key goals this offseason. First, they had to re-sign Kelsey Mitchell, their heart and soul, who averaged 19.2 points per game. Second, they needed versatile wings who could score and defend. Third, they sought size and defense at the forward position. Finally, they needed a reliable backup guard to take pressure off Clark and Mitchell.
This was the most improved team from the beginning of the season to the end of the season in terms of the Indiana Fever. I think the signing of Natasha Howard is huge. She fits the system beautifully. She is a terrific rim runner, and we know Caitlin Clark is one of the best get-ahead passers in the WNBA.
Now, Indiana is ready to take the WNBA by storm. This isn't just about making the playoffs, it's about winning championships. Clark shattered the WNBA rookie assist record, proving she's both a scorer and facilitator. The Fever's front office promised her elite talent, and they delivered. Let's talk about the signing that sent shockwaves through the league: a 3-time champion, an all-star, and a defensive player of the year all in one. That's exactly what Indiana got when they brought in Natasha Howard. This move wasn't just a roster upgrade, it was a championship-level acquisition.
Also outstanding in the pick and roll. She is a floor spacer, and she brings experience. The Indiana Fever made the playoffs last year for the first time since 2016, and in that first game, none of their starters had any playoff experience. Natasha Howard has over 50 games of playoff experience, 3-time WNBA champion. She fits them.
Some doubted whether Howard, now 33, still had the ability to be a game changer. But those doubters clearly weren't paying attention. Last season with the Dallas Wings, she put up dominant numbers: 17.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 2.9 assists per game, while shooting an elite 45.6% from the field. That's not just good. That's superstar production. Howard is more than just a scorer. She's a versatile force who can impact both ends of the floor. Her addition gives Indiana an experienced leader who knows how to win at the highest level.
Aller throws it right up. Oh! Anthony Master's Kennedy! Oh! Defensive Player of the Year in the WNBA! You should just lock it up! John can't give it to him, and right there is Howard with a block. Another one rejected by...
But here's what makes Howard even more special. She's a defensive powerhouse. Remember when she won Defensive Player of the Year in 2019? Well, she hasn't slowed down since. She's the kind of player who can lock down the paint, disrupt passing lanes, and still have the energy to lead fast breaks. Think of her as a Swiss Army knife, versatile, reliable, and capable of doing it all. With Howard on the court, Indiana's defense is now a nightmare for opposing teams. The Fever aren't just better. They're a whole...
Certainly improved by signing Howard. She, to me, fits their system beautifully as a rim-running stretch 4. We know Caitlin Clark is the best get-ahead passer in the WNBA right now. Howard will run the floor. Howard is outstanding in the pick and roll. We saw how good she was doing that when she was in Seattle. What else does she bring? A massive amount of...
And let's not forget her championship experience. Howard has 3 WNBA titles under her belt. She knows what it takes to win under pressure. In fact, she has more playoff experience than the entire Fever roster combined. That knowledge is priceless, especially for a young team looking to take the next step. You can bet she'll be mentoring Caitlin Clark, sharing the secrets of what it takes to reach the top. But Howard isn't just a defensive star. She can also stretch the floor with her shooting. Imagine an offense where Boston dominates the paint while Howard, Clark, and Hull keep defenders honest from deep. That's a recipe for domination.
But all the conversation for Indiana going into the playoffs last year, first time they'd made it since 2016, was how little playoff experience they had. You see, now they have 33 games. In that first playoff game against the Connecticut Sun this past season, they had 0 playoff experience from their starting 5. Howard brings playoff experience. She's won 3 championships with both Minnesota and Seattle. So to me, she's a huge, huge piece.
Speaking of Boston, Howard's presence is going to be a game changer for her development. Boston is already a force, but now she has a veteran mentor by her side. Together, they form a front court that will give the rest of the league nightmares. But the real magic of this signing? It's not just about one player, it's about transforming the entire Fever team. Howard isn't just filling a need, she's changing the identity of this squad. Indiana is no longer just a young team with potential. They're a team that's ready to win. Now.
Why does everybody hate Caitlin Clark? And do you hate Caitlin Clark? Come on, talk
dude.
to me.
Absolutely not. I think that she's a gem. I didn't know her, but All-Star Weekend, we kind of bantered back and forth a little bit. And she's lovely. She has a lot of pressure on her shoulders. And I think a lot of people always have a lot to say with people they don't even know or shoes they've never been in. And for me, I think she's handling the pressure very well. She's doing a lot of great things for women's basketball. And I'm a fan. Like, I would love to play with her one day.
Remember the conversation around Indiana heading into the playoffs last year? It was their first time making it since 2016, and the big concern was their lack of playoff experience. Fast forward to now, and they've added a staggering 33 games of postseason experience. When they faced the Connecticut Sun last season, their starting five had 0 playoff games under their belts. Now, with Natasha Howard bringing her 3 WNBA championships from Minnesota and Seattle, that concern is fading fast. Just when it seemed like the Fever were done making moves, they pulled off a blockbuster trade that shook the WNBA. Picture this: NaLyssa Smith, once considered the future of Indiana's frontcourt, was suddenly on her way out along with the 8th pick in the 2025 draft. Fans were baffled. What was Indiana thinking? Then the other shoe dropped. In return, the Fever landed Sophie Cunningham and the 19th pick. But was it worth it? Cunningham isn't just a player. She's a game changer. A versatile wing who can score, defend, and light it up from beyond the arc. Last season, she shot an impressive 37.8% from three-point range, the kind of sharpshooting that turns good teams into great ones. But there's more. Cunningham is an enforcer. She's the type of player who makes opponents think twice before attacking the basket. The Fever needed toughness, and now, with Howard and Cunningham on the court together, nobody's pushing them around anymore. Indiana just went from being the nice kid on the block to a team that demands respect. Some might question why the Fever gave up Smith and the 8th pick. But let's break it down. Smith had a down year in 2024, barely seeing action in the final games.